At stake is the $5,000 first prize, and this is the man who is one game away from winning it. Carmen Salvino of Chicago, Illinois, a charter member of the PBA, also a Hall of Fame member, as we have the finals tonight of the $50,000 New Jersey PBA Open from the Edison Lanes in Edison, New Jersey. Hello, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton, and welcome to another event on the PBA Summer Tour on Home Box Office. And tonight we have a very interesting final field. In fact, we have tremendous size and greatness all week as far as the lanes are concerned and as far as the field is concerned. We've had 208 entrants fighting for the final 5 finalists, and that's one of the largest PBA competitive tournaments in quite some time. As far as the Edison Lanes are concerned, well, we have 112 without post, end to end. You could fit 2 football fields in this place, and it's a tremendous bowling alley, and we've had a fine tournament this week. We'll be rolling on at lanes 14 and 15 here for the finals. And before we meet the 5 outstanding finalists, let's meet the guy who'll be my sidekick tonight. He's a 5-time PBA champion from Houston, Texas. Let's welcome Ski Faremski. See, good to have you with us again.
Hello, Richard. How are you? Well, we had Gary Foust on our show last week. He was 18 years old, right? Well, we've got 2 more of our tough touring professionals. They're teenagers again. Joe Berardi from New York City. He's 19. Marshall Holman from Medford, Oregon. He's 19. They'll be playing against Carmen Salvino, naturally the leader. He's been around since the inception of the PBA. Don Johnson, the 71 and 72 Bowler of the Year, and Don McCune, the defending Bowler of the Year. So it'll be interesting to find out whether the knowledge and experience of the older players can go ahead and stand up under the brash, bold charges of the young teenagers.
Ski, you talk about the youngsters, and Foust, of course, competed last week, and we have the 2 teenagers here this week. Why the upsurge in the youngsters? How have they made it so quickly?
Well, it has a lot to do with the bowling centers. They've got a tremendous junior program all over the nation, from California all the way to Florida, New York, Texas, and they've done a tremendous job teaching these children how to bowl.
Wonderful. We'll be talking to you later, Ski, okay? Right now, let's meet the 5 finalists for the $5,000 first prize. First, in the number 5 position, he's won 22 PBA championships, 2-time Bowler of the Year from Akron, Ohio. Let's welcome Don Johnson. And this is our current Bowler of the Year, 8-time champion from Munster, Indiana. Here is Don McCune. Here is a local boy in his first television appearance, 19-year-old from New York City, Joey Berardi. Another 19-year-old, and this is his highest finish ever in his rookie season, from Medford, Oregon. Here's Marshall Holman. And the old man from Chicago, Illinois, in the PBA Hall of Fame. I hope he bowls that ball down the alley and not at me. Let's say hello to Carmen Salvino of Chicago, Illinois. I'll come to you, okay? Let's go over here. Carmen, it's good to see you now. Ski, we mentioned before, we've got an interesting field. We have a couple of youngsters who haven't really tasted victory yet, and 2 other people, plus yourself, that have tasted victory many times.
Yes, the 2 players in particular are really great bowlers for youngsters. I've seen a lot of good bowlers, and even Gary sitting on the bench is tremendous too.
Carmen, what are you going to be doing? You have to wait, of course, for the other 4 bowlers to determine the survivor. What do you do in this case?
Just going to sit and relax and maybe go watch a movie on television in the lounge or something.
Hope it's a quick movie. It won't be that long. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Carmen Salvino. So the first game tonight matches number 5, Don Johnson, and the number 4 slot, Don McCune.
Don McCune, since he finished in the 4th position, will have his choice of starting lanes. He has chosen to start on lane 13. In a match play yesterday, McCune did bowl Johnson on this particular pair, and it was Johnson, 236, McCune, 232.
Let's take a look now at Don McCune, and he's the Bowler of the Year. What about his style?
Watch that high backswing. It's caused by leaning forward from the waist a little bit too much. But if he does it the same way every time, he can get away with it.
And Don Johnson style.
Watch a nice, slow, deliberate footwork of Don. Real nice and easy. Long extension. Watch that arm get way out there, up through the ball.
So Johnson's had some problems with the finger.
Right. For about the last 6 or 7 months, he's had a real bad bone bruise on his ring finger of his right hand.
Don McCune on lane number 13. I said 14 and 15, but they're starting on lane 13, and there you see the draw. McCune against Johnson. The survivor goes against Joey Berari. Lane 13 and 14 here at the Edison Lanes in Edison, New Jersey. You're looking at Don McCune, who is from Munster, Indiana, 37 years old, married with 2 children.
Don threw that ball slightly out to the right. Didn't get his real good fingers in it to bring it back. Left a 2-4-5.
And leaves an open frame to
Ball
start things
slid
off.
right by. Watch this ball slide by, hit the 2 that goes around the 4. The best way to make that shot is hit them all with the ball.
Here's Don Johnson. And he leaves one.
Solid 4-pin by John.
Johnson's 34. He's married, 3 children from Akron, Ohio, and that's the home of the PBA. 22 championships, second only to Dick Weber's 24 titles in that department. An amazing record.
Don is one of the type of bowlers that when he gets out there, he's always a threat to win a tournament.
He sort of dropped that one, but he converts the 4 and has a spare in the first frame. So an 11-pin lead for Don Johnson, who now moves over to lane number 13.
Don's hand was hurting him so bad this morning that he had to see a doctor, and he prescribed some pain-killing pills. So his hand isn't in too good a shape right now.
Well, his score is in good shape. If the hand isn't, then Johnson has to strike in the second frame. So McCune, who is trailing by 11.
One of Don Johnson's biggest attributes is his concentration. He's probably one of the best concentrators in the game.
Here's McCune. He had an open in the first frame. And he picks up a strike here in frame 2.
That ball just got to the 5.
That's Don McCune's average, 221. He has 8 PBA titles, and 6 of them came in 1973, which was twice as many as any other bowler.
I asked Don why he had bowled so well this week, and he said that this was actually his favorite angle between the second and third arrow, and that is the angle that he practices when he goes home.
He's got 2 in a row. Doesn't have much of a follow-through, does he?
No, he really doesn't. It's because his back is, he's leaning too far forward from his waist. The more you lean forward, the less you can follow through with that ball.
Now Johnson, who has a 1-pin lead here in the third frame. Sort of lost his balance. And the pins lost their balance.
If you're going to lose your balance, do that. Watch that one. Watch the head pin go off the left sideboard, come flashing back across, hit the 4,
The head pin knocked 2 down.
5.
Knocked the 4 and the 7.
Right.
Shooting for 3 in a row is Don Johnson. And he's gets it. There's a lot of pin action there, and Don Johnson has a turkey. 3 consecutive strikes and a 21-pin lead.
Watch the love tap by the 6 on a 10. Watch it lay in the channel and fall right into the 10. Little old love tap.
So now McCune is down by 21. He has 2 strikes in a row here in the 4th for him. He leaves the 10.
Don really set that ball short at the foul line. Watch that 6 die in a challenge. He just didn't get the ball out on the lane well enough to get enough revolutions on the ball to get that 6 into the 10. Don does have a tendency, because of that leaning forward too much, to set the ball a little bit short at the foul line.
That noise you hear is a problem with the loudspeaker system, and Don McCune has stepped off the alleys. This is the first game, of course, of the finals of the $50,000 New Jersey PBA Open from Edison, New Jersey. I'm Dick Stockton, along with Ski Feremski, and we're going to have a bit of a delay here. And obviously, for a guy bowlers who have to concentrate as much as they do, this delay is unnerving, to say the least.
Right, we're only in the 4th frame, and Don's 22 pins behind. He can still catch Don Johnson.
You're looking at Don McCune, and he has not won yet this season. He's looking for his first victory, but he's earned $22,000 nonetheless. And he's trying to raise his earnings a little bit more than the 5th place prize, which is $1,800. So the sound problems have been fixed up, and McCune try to convert the 10 on the 14th lane here in the 4th frame. All right, so Don McCune picks up a spare in the 4th.
That was probably one of the longest spare shots in the history of home box office.
McCune trailing by 22, but with plenty of time to go. Good one for Don McCune.
There is definitely a marked difference in that shot in the 5th compared to the one in the 4th frame on lane 14. He got that ball out on the lane and got his hand up through it with enough of lift to get that 6 into the 10 instead of around it.
Here's Don Johnson working on 3 straight strikes here in the 5th. Hit the head pin straight on and leaves himself a split.
He really lost his concentration on that side. He picked his ball up off the rack, put his fingers into it, and just took off. To make this shot, the ideal way is to put the ball in between the 310.
He does just that. So Don Johnson converts a split for a spare in the 5th. His lead is 20 pins over Don McCune. You know, I still can't get over last week's championship at Harvard when Earl Anthony blew the final to Nelson Burton.
For 2 minutes after that shot, there was just all types of confusion around. Just couldn't believe it.
And it shows you anything can happen here. No one really ever has it wrapped up unless they do mathematical. Now Johnson has a split that's going to be considerably tougher to convert than the one he had in the 5th. And this gives McCune a chance. Johnson talking to himself.
The only way Don can make this shot, well, not the only way, but the ideal way, is to hit the 6 on the right side and slide it cross lane, hitting the 7. It's a pretty difficult shot.
Let's see how he does. This is the 6th frame for Don Johnson. And he gets the 10. He leaves 2. But a good try and a good hand from the very fine gallery here at the Edison Lanes here in New Jersey. But now Don McCune has come back and he trails by only 5 pins as he gets set to go in the 6th, and he has a strike working.
That last shot in particular, the first ball, it looked like Don flinched underneath that pressure on his hand. Has to be hurting him. Don McCune going to lead here by 5 pins with a strike. Solid
10 remains. So McCune upset with that.
Just near perfect hit. The 6 again flies around it, just flies. It doesn't die in a channel there, it just flies right around it.
Trying to convert the solid 10 here in the 6th is Don McCune, who they say was a baseball pitcher of some note. And he's got it. He's got a good one going.
Don's had the last 5 balls in a row in the pocket, 3 strikes and 2 10-pins.
The loser here will collect $1,800 for 5th place. The winner goes on to face young Joey Berardi of New York, who's in the 3rd slot.
Don McCune in the 7th frame up on lane 13.
He gets it. The 7 went. Big strike for Don McCune.
Little extra help from that 5-pin. Slid it over into the 7 for a strike.
So here's Don Johnson, who's working on an open frame. He failed to convert a split in the 6th, did get a split in the 5th, and has a 5-pin lead here as he rolls on lane number 14. There's Marianne Johnson with the red turtleneck, who's sort of saying a prayer here after every time Don rolls one.
That headpin did a heck of a job for Don on that shot. It hit that sideboard and came across and wiped everything out on the left side of the lane. He can up his lead to 15 pins here with a strike.
And he has a similar split to the one he had before.
6, 7, 10 again. Just got to hit the 6 on the right side and slide it over into the 7. Don's checking out the pin count now on the overhead scoreboard. He's working on a strike.
And he misses them all. It's been a tough night for Don Johnson, and he's still very much in this thing. He has 3 splits. And most bowlers, 3 splits would be fatal by this time.
Right. Well, he's still alive because Don McCune has left those 2 solid 10 pins on this lane 14, last 2 shots.
They want to re-rack. McCune requested on lane number 14. So Don McCune has an 11-pin lead here. As he gets set to roll in the 8th, he has a strike going. Big strike for McCune, and that ups his lead to 21 pins.
Don seemed to move his angle to the left to where he can get that 6 hitting the flush, hitting the 10-pin flush to carry a strike. Seemed to work that time, Dick. Don is bowling in the 9th frame. Should he strike out in the 9th and 10th, his possible score is 238. The most Don Johnson can get is 207.
He's a hot bowler, Don McCune, and he's headed for victory here with his 3rd consecutive strike and a 31-pin deficit for Don Johnson here, who steps up on lane number 14. This is his 3rd outing of the summer. He bowled in the PBA National Championship in June and finished 7th in the Seattle Open. He comes back with a strike in the 9th.
All right, here's the possibilities. Don Johnson, should he strike out in the 10th, can bowl 207. That would force Don McCune to mark in a 10th frame.
Sounds familiar.
Ask Earl.
Earl is Earl Anthony, the leading money winner on the tour, who had an easier situation than that last week. All he had to do was get 9.
I talked to him after that shot, and he was very subdued. He was calm.
All right, here's Johnson's attempt, way off. And that will hurt.
It's all over. Don McCune's the winner of this game. There's no way that Don can beat him.
Don McCune from Munster, Indiana, who's looking for his 9th PBA title. The victor over Don Johnson here in the first game, so Johnson will collect $1,800 for 5th place, and McCune will go on to face young Joey Berardi. That ought to be interesting.
Don Johnson has always had trouble with his hand, but this is the worst it's gotten in, I'd say, the last 5 or 6 years. He's been famous for soaking his thumb and his sore fingers in a raw potato, taking the soreness out.
And a total of 187.
Don McCune, first ball on 10th frame. Just needs to stay behind the foul line. That angle change on lane 14 definitely helped him carry the 10th in the last 2 shots. That's the knowledge of the seasoned veteran. It's going to be up against that teenage Tiger next game. Little high, solid 4. Should Don spare this, it'll give him a 227. Oh, he's changing balls for a spare shot. Orange to blue. 227 for Don McCune.
Pick up your check for 5th place, $1,800. Congratulations to you. Now, Don, I know that no excuses, of course, but it's no secret that, you know, the finger has been bothering.
Well, I don't try to use that as an excuse. I just bowled real bad today. I just couldn't hit 13 in practice, and still didn't hit it during the show, but that's how it goes sometimes. Sometimes you bowl good, sometimes you bowl bad.
Good to see you.
Thank you very
much.
much.
To you, Don. And Don McCune now. Don, congratulations on your first game success. Now, what about this one?
Well, this is one of those young tigers, so they say. You know, when I opened in the first frame against Don Johnson, you don't often give him a chance because he'll just bury you. So I was very fortunate to win that game. He had trouble with 13 also. And I didn't really care for the alley either.
Right, well, we'll see what happens.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, and let's meet Joey Berardi. Joey, welcome. I know this is your first television appearance, and it's near your home. Where in New York City are you from?
The Bronx.
You're in the Bronx. I know that your folks are here, and we'll also show them on television during the course of your match. And how do you feel?
Well, I feel all right. I'm not nervous or anything. I mean, you know, I'm just going to try and go out there and bowl good, make good shots. It's the only thing that you can do.
Lots of luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so let's meet now the 2 players who compete in game number 2, Joey Berardi, the youngster, and Don McCune, who won that first game.
Should Joe Berardi win this title, he's already got a victory party planned. His mom is going to make a gigantic bunch of lasagna for all the players.
That means we have to take sides here, right? And start to root for someone.
Right.
Well, this ought to be interesting anytime you see the veteran. And let's take a look at the youngster.
Watch, very, very basic. 4 steps. Drops his shoulder back a little bit, but watch that nice, straight lift through the ball. He was one of those kids that started when he was 5 or 6 years old. In fact, when he first came out on a tour about a year and a half ago, he used to cradle the ball a lot. It just became a habit because when he was a small child, he didn't have enough muscle to actually swing the ball properly. And he's worked on it for last year, and he straightened it out.
So this is our second game in this final. $5,000 is the first prize, and Carmen Salvino in first place, of course, waiting to see who the survivor is. The first game was won by Don McCune. who defeated Don Johnson. And now the next two people we'll see will be a couple of youngsters. Joey Berardi, who goes against McCune here, and then Marshall Holman, another 19-year-old, will be making his appearance. We saw him, of course, in Tucson in the home box office tournament out there. So we're ready to go. Here's Don McCune, who, as we said, is an 8-time PBA champion and the current bowler of the year. There you see, the winner goes against Marshall Holman. The loser will go home with $2,000.
That will buy a lot of lasagna, I'll tell you that.
Sure will. McCune opens with a strike. And a far better open than he had last game.
Right, that first shot is so important, and you don't want to hit the nose with it. You don't want to be too slow, so you make sure you get enough zip on it.
Now, Joey told me out on the floor, of course, that he said he wasn't nervous. Is that possible?
Well, I'll tell you, these kids are pretty gutty.
He hit the head pin straight on, leaves himself with a split.
That's at 310 again. He can make it by going in between. That's the basic fault again of a new player coming on a show. His first shot is always slow and through the nose. Not much time.
But he makes it beautifully. Made that like a pro. So 19-year-old Joe Berardi of New York City, specifically the Bronx, as he told us, converts a split in the first frame. That's his average. Not bad.
He didn't look too nervous on his spare shot, did he?
Not at all. Took a deep breath and went at it. He's hitting that head pin straight on, but he gets the strike.
Watch this shot right through the heart. A real break for Joe. The 3-pin goes over with the 2, knocks over the 10. Real break for Joe.
And Don McCune now, who threw a strike in the first frame, has asked for a re-rack on lane number 14. And, of course, it's evident early here, Ski, that the gallery is definitely in the corner of Joey Berardi.
Boy, he's had most of the gallery on his side all during the week. Probably because half of the gallery are his relatives.
That helps. Of course, with that lasagna offering for first prize, I can see that, too. Perfect ball thrown by McCune. So he opens with 2 strikes.
That adjustment Don made by moving his angle in deeper definitely helped carry that 10 on that lane 14. He's really zeroed in now. Don has been making the finals lately, but he just hasn't been bowling well enough, big enough games to make the TV finals here.
But he's won over $22,000, so he's been up there. Well, McCune has nothing to complain about as he starts with a turkey. 3 strikes for Don McCune. Here it is again.
Boy, he knew that ball was in there. He watched that ball go through his mark solid in the pocket. Let's see if Joey could come back. Joey normally throws the ball at least twice that speed. Just slowing up. He's trying to fit it in the pocket instead of let it roll. It's probably the first time jitters.
He's got the 6'10" to contend with here. He does. But he's come through in those spare situations. He trails by 20 pins here.
Well, spares aren't going to do him much good the way Don is lined in right now. Joe better start striking. Watch how Joe pushes the ball to the right on that push away. Gets it back nice and straight.
He's not getting the strikes, and that's hurt him because that's all McCune has been throwing so far.
What? Real light in the pocket. Barely hits the head pin. The head pin just comes over and dies. Nothing gets to 2. Joey's not turning the ball like he normally does.
So Don McCune steps up with a 21-pin advantage here, and he's working on 3 strikes as he starts the 4th frame.
He can really put Joey in trouble with 2 strikes here. Can jump out to 41 pins.
Is he ever in the groove, Keith?
I hate to say it again, but it's that adjustment on lane 14. If you notice on that shot, the 6 pin did go by and knock the 10 down as it's going by.
"31-pin lead for Don McCune. He's on lane 13 here at the Edison Lanes, a huge building, 112 lanes end to end. That's the largest in the world. 2 football fields could fit in this place. And McCune trying to move out to 41-pin advantage. And he leaves us 7.
Don seemed to slow up on that shot. He didn't get his hand through it real well, and the ball hooked a little bit too much, went through the nose. Actually, he got a break there, broke down a split.
So that broke the string of strikes for McCune. He had 4 strikes and he spares in the 5th. And now Joey Berardi has to go to work. He's been converting spares. 3 out of 4, has a strike in the 2nd, and he trails by 30 pins, as you see. And he's got to get some strikes here. 4-7. Well, we talked about Berardi's folks being here, and they've been here for every game since play began on Saturday morning.
Oh, Mr. Berardi was in the locker room just before the start of the show, giving his son a little pep talk. It's really nice to see it.
He's got to be proud. First television showing for Joey Berardi. He was the alternate in the PBA National Championship to start the summer tour last June. And he had the best record here. He had 18 victories in match games and 540 bonus pins, so gave a good account of himself. And there, the audience responds as Berardi fires his 2nd strike. But Don McCune leads by 31 pins as he steps up here, working on a spare in the 6th frame. He defeated Don Johnson in the 1st game, and now going against Joey Berardi. Dick Stockton here with Ski Feremski on Home Box Office for the finals of the $50,000 New Jersey PBA Open.
That was light in the pocket. Don just didn't get that good lift on that shot. He seemed to just throw it out on a lane and not get through it. 2-5 spare. It's not the easiest one out there.
Why isn't it?
Well, it's very, very easy to chop the 2 off to 5. It doesn't look like there's too much room there, but I guess this shot is probably one of the toughest on the board for any of the players. Was I kidding?
The lead is 29 pins for Don McCune.
The reason it's so difficult because most of the players do play at cross lane and they're covering too many boards. And once you start covering too many boards, it's very, very difficult to direct that ball in the right area. Too much room for error.
He knew that one wasn't a good roll. He knew it.
That's 2 shots in a row to where he got out in a lane, and he looked like he limp-wristed. He just didn't get that good lift through the ball. And this is that same combination. This is a 2-4-5. Possible chop situation here, too.
Joey Berardi has enough time to come back.
Right.
If he can throw some strikes, he can definitely rally in this particular game because Don McCune, who started with 4 strikes, has had trouble in the last 3 frames. Well, he converts the spare there. But his lead is now down to 26, so Joey Berardi trailing by 26 pins.
Joey in his 2 shots here in the 7th and 8th frame can cut it down to 6 pins and be working on a strike.
What a great boost to his confidence that would be if he could come back against Don McCune and win. Let's see how he does. It's the head pin straight on. 6-10 is left standing.
Little steering wheel shot on that one. Joey just won't let the ball roll off his hand. He's trying to aim it into the pocket instead of let it roll. Very easy to say.
He's 19 years old. He got the 10, missed the 6th, and that hurts him. An open frame.
Watch that ball slide right on by the 6. Never does grab the lane, just slides right on by.
Tough break for Joe.
Joey on all the spare shots throws the ball extremely hard anyhow. Lack of concentration again. Joey's just getting up there, putting his fingers in the ball and taking off. He's got to be under a lot of pressure here with his folks and all of his friends.
Might have been easy for him if he were not rolling at Edison, New Jersey, so close to the Bronx, which is his home. He converts the spare, though. He had the 3-6, and he converted that. But Don McCune has a healthy lead here as he gets set to roll here in the 8th frame with a 38-pin advantage. McCune working on a spare. You had those figures real fast, Ski. You must be an accountant at heart.
No, I do my own income tax.
Oh, that's the secret. And McCune pouring salt on the wound here. Gets a strike in the 8th. He's winning going away.
Now, watch how high Don's backswing gets. It's because too far forward at the trunk, but he does get his hand up through the ball, which is so important. Solid.
Now McCune on lane number 13. Lead of 38 pins here in the 9th frame. He's hot. He had a little trouble in the 5th, 6th, and 7th frames, but came back with strikes in the 8th and 9th, and now is up by 48 pins over Joey Berardi, who has nothing to be ashamed of at all. He's 19 years old. He's a rookie, and he's given a fine account of himself. Just couldn't get those strikes in this game.
The legal weight in a bowling ball is 16 pounds, but that ball of Joey's had to weigh 40 for him today. When you only weigh 135 pounds, throws you off balance a little bit.
He really has quite a backswing. He threw that one a bit softer.
Right.
He's down by 49.
Most Joey can shoot is 195, and right now Don McCune is bowling in the 230s, should he just spare in the 10th. So the winner of our second game is Don McCune.
And McCune will now go against another youngster, Marshall Holman. And Joey Berardi will collect $2,000, and I'm sure he'll never forget this particular paycheck.
A little bit of my accounting again. Berardi's age and Marshall Holman's age are almost Don McCune's age. I'm glad Don didn't hear that.
I won't mention that to Don.
Then they can add in Salvino's and they'll get mine.
Not quite.
Strike here will give Joey 184.
He'll get a good hand from the audience here as he caps it off with a strike, and as you said, a 184. And congratulations to Don McCune, who will finish things off here in the 10th.
Well, Joey got his bath. McCune, should he strike out, he could shoot 254. Seems to be getting better as we go. 227 last game. Possible 254 here. He's really got that 14 nailed. He hadn't been out of pocket on that lane except for one shot when he lost a little bit at the foul line, left it 2-5. All the rest of them have been flush in the pocket. Marshall's got a little job to do here. .253 for Don McCune.
All right, Don McCune has won his second straight game, and let's bring on Joey Berardi here, who gave a fine account of himself. First, Joe, let me present you with a check for $2,000 for fourth place, and I know that's going to be a check you're always going to remember.
Right, I will. I made the TV show. I'm fortunate to do that. Maybe next time I'll bowl a little better.
Well, you've got a lot of confidence, and you converted a lot of those spares. I'm sure if you would have made more of those strikes, you would have made it closer, but the experience of going through something like that has to help you.
Yeah, you're right. Don does have a little more experience than myself.
Well, you'll do fine. Good
Thank
to see
you.
you.
Thank
Good
you
luck to you. Joey Berardi and Don McCune. Congratulations again to you, Don. Well, you've beaten one youngster who's someday going to make his presence felt on the tour. Now you have another one coming up.
Well, I'm sure Joe will be heard from very shortly because he's a very fine young bowler.
And now you have another.
Well, it gets harder as you get higher.
That's right. You've won 2 games now, and now you have Marshall Holman, and he's, of course, has had the experience. This is his highest finished ever.
Right, he's bowling real good. It's going to be a good match.
Okay, good luck.
I
to
hope
you,
so,
Don.
anyhow.
All right, we'll talk to you after the next match. And let's bring on Marshall Holman from Medford, Oregon. And many of you, of course, remember Marshall from Tucson, Arizona, when he finished so well. And, of course, home box office has been lucky for you.
Yeah, I hope to do better this time than I did last. I've got my confidence up even better than I had in Tucson. Been bowling good all summer, and I'm ready for a good match.
Well, confidence is a good part of it, isn't it?
Oh, it's just about everything out here.
Oh, good luck to you, Marshall.
Thank you.
All right, Marshall Holman against Don McCune.
Marshall Holman has chose a start on lane 13. Going to throw a couple practice shots before the match starts. Don's not doing too badly on his spare. He's averaging 240. He had games at 227, 253. Watch this Marshall Holman. Watch how low he stays at the foul line. He starts the ball low, keeps those knees bent, really stays low, especially right here at the line, which is so important. Watch that. Solid lift. Very, very solid at the foul line.
Boy,
He
he's got
can
that
really
real
crank that
low-
ball out. Wow.
Low crouch.
His footwork does tend to get a little bit too fast at times because of the low body, but because he does stay down at the foul line when he comes through the ball, it's not that much of a disadvantage for him.
We had one perfect game this week by Butch Dangle of Rego Park, New York. It was his first. A few months ago, Butch shot 299 and left a solid 10 in his last shot. But here in Edison, New Jersey, Butch Dangle got his perfect game. So the handshake, and we're set to go here as we get closer to the finish. McCune has bowled a 227, 253. And there you see Holman against McCune. The loser picks up $2,400 for third place. The winner faces Carmen Salvino for the championship. He leaves a bundle here.
Out the window. He really let loose of that ball. About 48 miles an hour it looked. Important to cover this spare, not to get too far behind a McCune. He's hot. Watch how low he holds that ball. Below his knees.
Well, he said his confidence has been improved 100%. And he looks more confident than he did in Tucson, Ski.
He really does. He was leading a tournament for the longest time. With about 3 games ago, Salvino bowled a 237 and won his game, but Marshall ran into Marty Perano. Marshall bowled 256 and Marty bowled 268.
Now Don McCune. He's on lane 14. He opened with 4 strikes in the last game when he defeated Joey Berardi. Let's see what he does here. It's one.
I'll tell you how much confidence Marshall Holman has. I talked to him just before the show. I said, Marshall, have you been doing anything different this week, or did you change balls or anything? He said, no, I just bowl pretty good.
Nice quiet fellow.
McCune could put a little pressure on him here with a double to start out, put him 10 pins behind.
That's what he's done. He likes to show his reaction to those strikes, Don McCune does, and he's picked up a lead of 10 pins.
Watch that solid shot. All 10 pins in the pit. Won't. Right there. If you're going to hit him right there.
Our winner last week was Nelson Burton Jr., and he finished 12th in this event. But here, Marshall Holman leaves a solid 10. That was a good ball, though.
Marshall really hooks the ball. He cups his wrist. Really gets a lot of fingers in it, and that ball snaps so hard. Watch the six right around a 10.
Did everything but get that 10.
That was a right-handed Sandy Koufax curveball, that shot.
He edges that 10. So Marshall Holman opens up with 2 spares. He's down by 11 pins. McClune started out with 2 strikes. So Marshall Holman, 19 years old, from Medford, Oregon. And as we said, this is his highest finish in PBA play. And if you watched on Home Box Office, the Tucson Home Box Office Open, you saw Marshall come in 5th. He lost his only game to Kurt Schmidt. That 10 doesn't fall.
Through the nose on that shot. He made a correction for missing the headpin last time. Last time it left a 1-2-7. Watch this shot here. Really lifts through the ball. Made the correction for missing the headpin last time. That ball seemed to really hook on him. He didn't think it was going to go that high.
Well, he gets it. 3 spares, and Holman looks like he's having the same kind of problems that Berardi did in the last game, not being able to get the strikes. He has the spares. McCune, though, is working on 2 strikes and a 14-pin lead as he rolls in the 3rd.
I forgot where I was before when I said the Sandy Koufax curveball. I meant the Tom Seaver curveball.
That's right. You would throw the Sandy Koufax curveball.
Right, at times.
Being a left-hander. We'll have a re-rack on lane 14. So Don McCune, and as you know by now, he's from Munster, Indiana. He's 37 years old, and well, he beat a 19-year-old before. If he beats one here, that's 38. He's 37. We'll let you people at home do the adding and subtracting.
Right.
Of course, Don isn't listening to this conversation. That's a good thing.
That is really an orange ball he's got there, too.
And there's a little dance that you normally see in the end zones when people score touchdowns. 3 strikes for McCune. Opens with a turkey, a 24-pin lead.
Who is that, Elmo Wright, that does the dance in the end zone?
Well, he started it, and then just about everyone else has picked it up, including linemen who very rarely score touchdowns. But Elmo was the first.
The University of Houston. They used to play
right.
at the Astrodome, and I live a quarter of a mile from the Astrodome, and I walked to the games. And
Did he do it there?
boy, did he ever. I believe he caught 33, 34 touchdown passes in his
Did
college
he do that
career.
little dance every time he scored in Houston?
Right, right.
24-pin lead for Don McCune, the veteran from Indiana, who's shooting for his 4th strike in a row. He's got it. So Don McCune, who opened the first game of the night against Don Johnson with an open frame, started against Joey Berardi with 4 strikes, has now started against Marshall Holman with 4 strikes. Here it is again.
Watch, he'll get the ball out on lane. Real nice. Gets up through the shot. Solid again. No doubt. Boom.
Now Holman is trailing by 34 pins. And that's going to be a tough split.
That's known as grandma's teeth. This shot can be made. Marshall needs to hit the 4-pin on the extreme left side and slide it over into the 9 and 10.
Well, he leaves 2, an open frame for Marshall, and of course that hurts his chances considerably because Don McCune is just going wild here with 4 strikes. So we'll see how Holman responds to that open frame, and he has enough time, but he's down by a whole bunch of pins. He's on lane 13 right now. All right, there it is. Took him 5 frames, but the first strike for Marshall Holman, a little bit disturbed with his performance thus far. And here's Don McCune, who has a very healthy lead of 50 pins and working on 4 strikes as he rolls in the 5th. That's 5. 5 in a row for Don McCune, and he has a lead of 60 pins.
It's definitely an advantage. Here goes that shot for the 5-bagger. Good extension up through the ball. It's going to be a little late with the 10-pin here, but it goes. There's that fall down. 5-bagger for Don.
What a lead, 60 pins. All right, Don McCune now has rolled 6 strikes. And, of course, has a gigantic lead. And Marshall Holman, this is his best finish. And I think it'll end here. 70-pin deficit, and he's not bowling the best game. He had 3 spares, an open, and a strike. But Don McCune has 6 strikes and just running away with this. And Holman just off the mark in this particular game. Next week's stop on the PBA Summer Tour on home box office is Buffalo, New York, followed by the Star Lanes Ebonite Open the following week in Waukegan, Illinois. And home box office will bring you those events as well, as we hope you enjoy the Summer PBA Tour with the best bowlers in the land. He gets the 3-6-10, but he's down by quite a margin.
Marshall seems to be varying his speed too much. The first frame, he threw the ball very, very crisply, missed the head pin, and after that, it's either been too slow or too fast. He's definitely in deep trouble.
All right, that's Holman's second strike. It comes on the 7th frame. But all eyes now are on Don McCune, who has a lead of 70 pins, but more important, has rolled 6 consecutive strikes, and he gets set on lane number 14. So tension picking up here at Edison, New Jersey.
Don should be setting that ball pretty close to the 3rd arrow. There it is, right on the 3rd arrow.
Didn't quite hit the pocket the way he wanted it.
Well, it's a little bit high in the pocket, leaving the 4-7. He hit his mark with the ball, but his speed, he cut that in half. Looked a little like Marshall on that shot. A little bit too slow.
Could have had a tough split. He was avoided, and so now the string of strikes is broken. He's got the 4-7, but his lead is 68 pins, so he's in a comfortable position. That's Don McCune, who owns 8 PBA titles. He's the current reigning bowler of the year, and he won 6 championships last year, twice as many as any other bowler.
It's pretty difficult to bowl 2 frames and sit down for 2 or 3 minutes and stand up again and bowl 2 more frames. It's real easy to vary that speed. Don's going along at a 240 clip, his average on this pair.
He thought he had it.
That is known as the official tap, solid 8. He chops the 5 straight back. The advantage of that shot is it's a pretty easy spare.
So Don McCune, who started with 6 strikes, has thrown 2 spares here through 8 frames, and Marshall Holman will step up, trailing by 67 pins. And McCune, who defeated Don Johnson and Joey Berardi, on his way to the finals to meet Carmen Salvino. Dick Stockton with Ski Varemski, the 5-time PBA champ from Houston, Texas, with us here at the Edison Lanes in Edison, New Jersey. Marshall Holman. A little wide.
Believe it or not, Dick, had Marshall struck out from this position here and Don McCune opened in the last 2 frames, Marshall could have won. It's amazing what strikes do when they come after each other.
And so far, Marshall has not been able to put them together, the 2 together. He had 1 in the 5th, 1 in the 7th. He gets the spare.
McCune just about has this one locked up. The most Marshall can get is a 200 even. And should Don McCune just spare out in the 9th and 10th frame, he'll be in the 240s. So it looks like Don McCune against Carmen Salvino.
That should be a most interesting battle. So the kids showed well here. We almost had 3 teenagers in the final 5, and we had 2, and but they just couldn't do it against the 3 very strong veterans. Don McCune, well, handled both of them, and now Carmen Salvino. So you're looking at the winner, Don McCune, who's also looking for his first championship this season. Open frame for Marshall Holman, and but he'll go home with $2,400 for 3rd place.
It's amazing what strikes do when they come after each other.
And so far, Marshall has not been able to put them together, the 2 together. He had 1 in the 5th, 1 in the 7th. He gets the spare.
McCune just about has this one locked up. The most Marshall can get is a 200 even. And should Don McCune just spare out in the 9th and 10th frame, he'll be in the 240s. So it looks like Don McCune against Carmen Salvino.
That should be a most interesting battle. So the kids showed well here. We almost had 3 teenagers in the final 5, and we had 2, and but they just couldn't do it against the 3 very strong veterans. Don McCune, well, handled both of them, and now Carmen Salvino. So you're looking at the winner, Don McCune, who's also looking for his first championship this season. Open frame for Marshall Holman, and but he'll go home with $2,400 for 3rd place.
There's that 2-5 spare shot I was telling you about. It's so easy to chop the 2 directly back off the 5. Little soft 10 there. 6 didn't get to it. It seems like every time Don extends out and gets the ball out on the lane, he carries that 10 pin real well. If he sets a little bit short at the foul line, doesn't get the proper amount of lift on the ball, the 6 pin dies in the channel.
So Don McCune will go into the finals next game for $5,000 and the championship here in the $50,000 New Jersey PBA Open.
Actually, Don McCune will be bowling one of his best friends in the finals, Carmen Salvino. Don McCune, Jim Steffenage, and Carmen Salvino normally travel together around on a tour and have dinner together and pal around together. So it won't be exactly a friendly match, but they'll be out there for that loot.
.227 from McCune in the first, 253, and now he's working on what?
He could get 2 more strikes here, Dick, and shoot 256. So he's going up that ladder.
Well, that's exactly what he's done. He gets another one here.
The way it seems at the championship match, you're going to have to shoot 240 or 250 to have a chance to win.
.255. Well, still higher than his last game of .253, and now Marshall Holman steps up in the 10th.
Marshall's got 147 in the 9th. He's just finishing out. That ball got a lot lighter. Two more shots for Marshall in the 10th. Just like practice. Marshall had a big grin on his face. You don't win too many 255 games. They get thrown at you. You've got to really be carrying those pins. Strike here will give him 177. .177 for Marshall Holman.
So Don McCune continues his victory trail, and Marshall, why don't you come out here? I know you must be thinking after that 10th frame that 3 strikes. Why didn't it happen earlier? Huh?
I don't know. It's like an instant replay of Tucson. You know, I had a little higher score, but I did the same thing in Tucson. Struggled through 9 frames, 10th frame, bang, bang, bang.
Well, one of these days it's going to come a little early for you, and the experience you're picking up will help. In the meantime, swallow your disappointment with $2,400, okay?
I think that should help. Thank you, Dick.
Should. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Marshall Holman, fine gentleman. Well, Don, you're up here again. You've now won 3 games, and you only have 1 to go.
That's always a tough one for some reason. I don't know why. Marshall, he's got a little trouble. The lane's got a little tricky, and I had the line. They're changing a little bit, and while you're out here bowling, sometimes it works to your advantage. But I'm sure that Carmen's going to be quite a handful.
All right, we're going to talk to Carmen now. Good luck to you, Don. Carmen Salvino, who is in first place going into the final right now. Carmen, how was the movie?
I didn't watch the movie. I was really relaxing, just sitting on the sidelines and observing McCune wipe everybody out.
You and Don are close friends. You travel together?
Yes, we travel together, but we're bowling a match now. I don't even know him.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Should be a
really,
good
he's
match.
A great guy. I really enjoy him.
And so are you, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right.
It's nicer than what you said earlier.
It sure is. Okay. All right, this is for $5,000. Carmen Salvino against Don McCune for the first prize here in Edison, New Jersey.
Salvino, being the leader, is making McCune start on lane 13. They're throwing practice shots now. Carmen's quite a character, isn't he, Dave?
So there you see the draw, and Salvino and McCune, who together have won a total of 19 PBA championships, going for the $5,000 first prize. The runner-up will pick up $2,900 tonight. Here's Carmen.
Carmen starts that ball low, too, like Marshall Holman, but Marshall takes 5 steps. Carmen takes 4. Carmen, when he first started bowling, was known as the boy wonder. He could really hook that ball all over the building, and it really got him in trouble. He was having difficulty controlling it. But this new type of approach that he and a friend of his in Chicago have developed has really helped him in the last year and a half.
Carmen, of course, had been practicing over one of the side alleys, getting ready for this championship. He led the 18-game qualifier here with an average of 230.
Carmen is quite a health bug. He takes numerous pills in the morning, vitamin C, E, D, every one in the alphabet. wheat germ, everything. He's in great shape.
Very personable fellow, quite a sense of humor, as my sidekick Ski Feremski had. Ski, it's good to have you here again. I know that next week in Buffalo, though, you'd like to be one of the 5 and not here.
Right, the pay out there isn't as good as this here, but I'd like to be out there.
Maybe the other way around. So here's Don McCune, who starts on lane number 13 for the championship game. $5,000 at stake here. So McCune, who was red hot in the last 2 games, opening up with, well, 4 strikes against Berardi and 6 strikes against Holman.
Right through the nose on that first shot again. That first shot is so important. Seemed like Don slowed up again, and the ball hooked through the nose.
It's a little bit different opening here for Don McCune.
More games they bowl on the lanes because of the traction of the ball on the lanes and the lighting here. The lane finish does dry up slightly, causing the ball to hook a lot more.
All right, we're taking our first look at Carmen Salvino. His average is 227. His nickname is Spook.
Right.
Why?
Well, you talk to him for about 10 minutes and you'll find out.
40 years old, from Chicago, married with 1 child.
Definitely a strong individual.
He leaves the 7th.
I have a feeling that Carmen, watch this shot of Carmen's. Good knee bend up through the ball. Watch the 1 pin off the sideboard. He hits it a little bit too thin and it dies in the channel there. Fails to get the 7. I think Carmen was looking at a monitor about 10, 12 lanes down, watching to see how Don McCune had been playing that lane 14 since it was so tricky for Marshall and Joe Berardi.
And Carmen has been brushing his shoe.
Carmen likes to be very, very stable at the foul line, plant his foot when he comes through the ball. Most of the players like to slide, especially Don McCune, but Carmen likes to be real solid at the foul line before he comes through the ball.
We're even through 1 frame of the championship game. He leaves 5 pins standing.
That ball really sailed on Carmen.
So, as we mentioned, Salvino recently elected to the PBA Hall of Fame in '59. He organized the PBA, one of the 7 charter members.
Old Carmen, he just gets his ball, goes out there and does a job.
All right. Carmen Salvino gets a spare in frame 2. And Don McCune will come up now with a 5-pin lead in the 2nd.
And that was definitely a fortunate event. He didn't hit enough of that 2-pin to push it straight back into the rest of the pins. He got the spare by banking the 2 off the sideboard, knocking out the 7 and the 8.
Awfully close here. If McCune converts, we're back even again.
There's that combination again with the 2-4-5.
Well, we're even.
These bowlers are tricky on those last 2 spares. You think this was an exhibition where they were doing trick shots. Watch this. The 2 straight back. Actually, the 2 hit the 5. I almost chopped it. Don's got a 2-pin lead here. First ball in the 3rd frame.
All right, on lane 13. Oh, it looks like strikes are foreign to this particular game.
Don seemed to stick on the approach a little bit there. Watch this at the foul line. See how far behind the... Oh, see him slip? Not enough leverage to get up through the ball, get enough rotations to carry. The one pin again will die in the left channel. Another difficult spare.
We had a bunch of them here in this championship game. Well, what a game. Don McCune opens with 3 spares. And Carmen Salvino has 2 spares going for him. And a lead of 1 pin for Carmen in the third. So it's just for the taking. It's a 2-pin lead. Is that right, Ski?
Right.
And there we have our first strike of this title game in the third frame, and Carmen Salvino moves ahead.
That was definitely all muscle. Watch this. Watch that ball continue on through and hit the 5. Just barely touch the 5. See it bank it over into the 4.
What power.
Forward. Here we go. Keeps his 2-pin lead. More important, he can make it 12-pin since he's got a strike. Could double it up here.
There it is. 2 strikes in a row for Carmen Salvino, and a 12-pin lead in the championship game. As now Don McCune steps up in the 4th frame, trailing by 12 pins. And this is a different situation for McCune, who has really held the lead in his games against Don Johnson, Joey Berardi, and Marshall Holman.
Don McCune started this game with 3 in a row, and last game he only had 3 spares in a whole complete game.
Boy, this has the makings of a good one here. We've got to have a real close game for the championship.
Don's 12 pins behind. Real concentration here.
That 7 doesn't go.
Again, he seemed to slip or stick at the foul line.
A couple of Midwesterners, McCune from Indiana and Salvino from Illinois.
One pin spare for Don, 7 pin.
So McCune converts the 7th in the 5th, and Carmen Salvino has a 12-pin advantage here, and he's working on 2 strikes in the 5th frame. This is for the $5,000 first prize in the $50,000 New Jersey PBA Open. Hope you're enjoying it on Home Box Office from Edison Lanes in New Jersey. And a solid 10 does not fall for Mr. Salvino.
He could have really put some ground between himself and Don McCune with that shot. What a beautiful shot. Right around it.
Just went right around that 10.
He's just so strong, Dick, that he gets so much speed generated with that arm swing that he doesn't give the pins a chance to do their job. They just decide to sail around. That's one of the reasons he's holding the ball lower. When he used to hold it up too high, he'd get too much backswing and too much force.
Spare in the 5th for Salvino. His lead is 11, and once again, he's tending to his shoes. There you see our scoring. Dick Stockton with Ski Feremski here at Edison, New Jersey. We had a big field of 208. Last year, 216 competed in Toledo. This has been the largest field since then.
We had room for more, too.
Sure did. 112 lanes. trouble for Carmen.
Carmen really yanked that ball at the foul line. Instead of his arm coming straight up through it, he pulled his arm across the front of his face, causing the ball to go through the heart just like that. But he does get a break by knocking the 9 and 10 down. This should be a fairly easy spare for Carmi. 4-7.
Well, we've had only 3 strikes in this game. 2 by Salvino and 1 by McCune as we are in the 6th frame for Don.
Carmen seemed to have little problems there on the approach on lane 13. It's very easy to go ahead and get some of the rubber that's on the bottom of your shoe to adhere to the sliding surface, since the lane is pretty warm out there with those hot lights. McCune's 9 pins behind. Double here, he can go in the lead by 1 pin.
All right, McCune takes the lead, and we have a very close match going here for the championship. Don McCune, who rolled 227, 253, 255. Of course, his score is not going to match the last 2.
No.
By any means. He is 735 is what he has so far. But he doesn't care as long as he has 1 more pin than Carmen.
Right. The most he could shoot here is 243, and he's got to strike the rest of the way on out. Don was up there checking the approach, making sure he's got a good sliding area. It was a pocket hit, but he didn't have enough leverage on the ball to carry the 8-pin. Watch his foot here again.
Right there.
See that?
Right there.
A little stutter step. Actually, I think they're sliding. They're not sticking. Because his foot should remain stationary when he releases that ball, but it continues to slide.
McCune gets the 8. And a spare in the 7th frame. Now Carmen Salvino getting set to roll in the 7th frame on lane number 14, has a lead of 9 pins. It's anyone's game here for the championship. And Salvino adds to his lead.
Solid hit. Ideal strike. All the pins in the deck again. That last one was a little hesitant, but he got there.
Now Carmen on lane 13.
This approach definitely has to affect Carmen mentally. Or even Don whenever they make a shot on that lane.
And that's a big one. First time we've had back-to-back strikes in this game, and Carmen Salvino rolls them in the 7th and 8th frame. And now Don McCune has his work cut out for him. He trails by 19 pins in the 8th frame here, and Salvino's getting hot late in the match, and that's crucial.
That ball that Carmen threw last time on lane 13 had to be the most devastating ball in all 4 games on the show today. They'll probably find some of those pins in a parking lot tonight.
And McCune gets some action. The 10 goes down. And McCune needed that strike, no doubt about it.
His old friend, the 6-pin. This one just barely beats the machine. Here we go. Whack, touchy, down.
Well, he's won 3 games tonight, Don McCune. Started in the number 4 slot, beat Don Johnson, Joey Berardi, Marshall Holman to reach the finals here. And it's not over yet.
This is so important for Don. This strike right here.
Oh. Instead, he has a split, and that gives Salvino considerable breathing room here.
Watch the 1 pin off the wall. It doesn't hit the 7. It goes right in between the 5-7. Lack of leverage at the foul line again. Don needs this to stay anywhere close to the game. Should he miss this one, Carmen just about has it locked up.
All right, he makes a very difficult split.
He's still alive.
Boy, that was a shot well done by Don McCune, and he's had a fine evening tonight to the appreciation of the gallery here in Edison Lanes. Here it is again.
Right up through the ball. He still slid a little bit. It's not only a great shot anytime, but especially under this type of pressure.
That was do or die for Don McCune. Now Carmen Salvino working on 2 strikes here in the ninth. That's 3. And that's big. 29 pin advantage for Salvino.
That's just about it, Dick. Watch that lift. That whole body comes up through the ball. A little bit high, but watch the pin off the wall, trips the 4-7.
Salvino working on 3 strikes here.
It's just about all over. All he has to do is stay behind the foul line, actually.
So Carmen will be winning his 12th PBA championship. His most recent one was last year. He's got a very tough split.
It looks like Don Johnson in lane 13. The 6, 7, 10
Right.
again.
Salvino was victorious in New Orleans last year, his most recent victory. He won the Lincoln Mercury Open. He won all 4 TV games there to grab the crown, so that was quite an effort. Tonight, he was in the #1 seed. All he had to do was win 1 game, and he's done it.
Carmen Salvino's the winner, regardless of what he does on this shot. He can miss them both.
And we'll be talking with Don McCune and Carmen Salvino. Ski Foremski will be with us after, and we'll have the presentations, the trophy and the check for $5,000. So, Carmen Salvino, 209, and Don McCune will finish off. He is our champion, Carmen Salvino. Two awake for Salvino.
$192 for Don McCune.
All right, Carmen Salvino has won the $5,000 first prize here in Edison, New Jersey at the Edison Lanes to cap a very interesting week for the $50,000 New Jersey PBA Open. And first, let me bring out Don McCune, who's our runner-up this evening. Don McCune. Congratulations, Don. Don McCune won 3 games before he fell at the end. Been a good game. You had a good one.
Well, anytime you start in 4th and or 4th and 5th, the first match and then go all the way to the championship match, it's a little rewarding. But I made one mistake on 13 the first ball, and after that I started trying to throw the ball a little harder, and it got me in a world of trouble.
Seemed to be anyone's game through midway. Strikes were kind of scared.
Yeah, I thought I had him, but I just lost a stroke there. But I'd like to compliment the fans here. They've been great all week.
Gallery has
Also like to congratulate Carmen. He is just throwing the ball very super, so I'm very fortunate to get the chance to bowl against him.
Well, you did very well yourself. Here's $2,900, the runner-up check, and I'm sure that you're most happy.
Buy a couple beers, right?
At least, okay. Congratulations to you. Don McCune, our runner-up tonight. And now, let's bring our champion out, Carmen Salvino from Chicago. And I can't say anything bad about Carmen here. He's our champion. A great hand by a very good gallery here in Edison. And Carmen has won his 12th PBA championship, his first since New Orleans, and I know you must feel tremendous.
Dick, I'll tell you, this was a real exciting day to me after watching Don bowl so great. I thought really I was going to have a lot of problems, which I did anyway, but I thought he was going to shoot about 240 again, and I thought I was going to have to shoot at least 250 to win, but like he said, he got a little locked up, and one game match that can happen. But I would like to comment on the youth that bowled today. These kids, like I said, are great bowlers, and there's no question about it. You're going to hear from them. I bowled in American Junior Bowling Congress a long time ago, but I'm actually there 19 and 19, and I'm 40, so
That's
the
right.
two of them put together, I've
That's
got
right.
the race.
They're going to be. You've been there before.
Right. You have to start someplace. I started at the beginning. They had to start, and they got to get their licks.
Right.
They got to get whipped a little bit and be humble,
Right.
then they're going to make it.
That's right. Well, you're hearing it from the master. All right. But congratulations. It was a big victory for you. And glad to see you.
I'll tell you, when you were picking on me earlier, you took your life in your own hands.
I know.
There's a lot of Italians out here in New Jersey.
Carmen, they should know. They should know that you and I are good buddies.
You may be in the trunk of my car.
Well, if you're going back to the city, I'll go with you.
I'll put the word in for you so you can get out of town.
All right, very good. Al Thompson is the field sales manager for Ebonite, and he's going to present a very impressive trophy to Carmen Salvino. Why don't you get around to this side, and Al, why don't you make the presentation?
Carmen, on behalf of the New Jersey Bowlers, you're going to have to tell your wife to move over and make room for another trophy. I know you've got over 100 of them. Again, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Al. Appreciate it.
And, of course,
You know, let me hold the mic. Let me talk to these people a little bit. Believe me when I say this trophy in my arm means a lot more to me.
that's all right.
This trophy in my arm really means a lot more to me, believe me, you might realize, because there's one difference between a dollar bill, and I've never bowled in my life for money. Believe me when I say this. I've bowled for security of my family, but nothing else. For me, I try to get the trophy because there's a big difference between a trophy and a dollar bill. You can look in your pocket and have a dollar bill, so can I. But you can't say you were the greatest bowler this week, and this is what this trophy means to me. Thank you.
Okay, Carmen, very good. But you only get the money, too. You know, and Bill Messina, from Color Only, will present the check for $5,000.
I really enjoyed the bowling this week, and I'm sure that you're going to enjoy that $5,000.
Thank you very much. My wife's going to have it, so I'll just look at it for a moment. Then
You have
mail
the
it
trophy?
home.
You have the trophy?
I'll
She
keep
has
the
check.
trophy, right. That's the same routine every week.
Okay, here's our champion, Carmen Salvino, $5,000 first prize. And Ski Feremski did a fine job once again for us tonight here in Edison, New Jersey, in a beautiful lanes. The crowd has been great. We had a great week of bowling. So from the Edison Lanes in Edison, New Jersey, our victor is Carmen Salvino. This is Dick Stockton saying so long for Home Box Office.